A lot of you have asked how I'm able to paint and work on my non-dominant hand. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to go over that from start to finish, all while using my left hand. So to start off, I have some builder gel on my nails already. It's pretty grown out. I don't want to do a refill because I have some lifting. And lifting means that there's a separation of the gel from your natural nail plate. So I'm going to use my sanding band to remove all the gel polish that I have on my nail right now. This is a beginner nail drill that I have, and I can't see the RPM, but I'm just going to have it on the lowest setting possible. And when it comes to doing your non-dominant hand, this is how I hold my nail drill. You want to hold it with your index finger and your thumb and just put it right in the middle and then let it rest on your middle finger. And when you're soaking off builder gel, the whole purpose is to really debulk the nail so the soak off can go quicker. And it's best to drill at a parallel angle to your nail, meaning that it's going to go straight across and not dig into your nail vertically. For best results, I recommend leaving about 10% of the gel on your nail. I say this because you don't want to accidentally drill too far into your nail plate and cause rings of fire. So now that the drilling is done, I have these aluminum cotton pads and I'm using 100% acetone in a squeezy bottle. And you really want to saturate each cotton pad with acetone. I probably did a little overboard here. And you want to wrap the nail tightly like a burrito, so flip in the sides and then do the top and fold it kind of like inwards to the nail. And again, you want to make sure you're wrapping this tight to make sure the heat is not escaping from the nail, because the natural heat that comes off of your fingers mixed with the acetone, it kind of warms it up and makes it soak off that much quicker. So you want to make sure to trap all the heat in the foil and make sure there's no spaces. And a friendly reminder to always soak off your thumb finger first, because it's your biggest finger, it has the most surface area, and it's going to take the most amount of time. And again, I highly recommend these squeezy bottles because you can actually put more acetone in there if you ever feel it drying up without having to take off the entire foil. And when it comes to soak offs, I like letting my nails sit for 10 to 15 minutes at the least. And when you take these foils off, your nail is going to look crazy, but that's normal because acetone just dries out the surface. And the builder gel just should flake off easily. If it doesn't, you can just wrap the nail in foil for another 10 minutes or so. And when I scrape it off, I'm kind of scraping at a parallel angle to my nail, and I'm not really digging into my nail vertically. You really want to minimize the amount of damage you put on your nail and kind of just the whole wear and tear of it. Now, this is as much of the builder gel that I could scrape off, and to just clean up the nail and not make it look so crusty, I'm using some cotton pads with some rubbing alcohol, and that gets rid of all the white marks from the acetone, and I can really see how much builder gel I have left on my nail. For this part, you could also just wash your hands, but I wanted to use something quick and accessible that was at my nail desk. And this is what my natural nails are looking like so far. Not bad at all, and that's not damage on my nail, it's just leftover builder gel. So I'm going to use that same sanding band as before and apply the same rules. You just want to drill off lightly at a parallel angle to your nail. When you're working with nail drills, make sure not to drill in one area for too long, or else you're going to get a heat spike, and those do not feel good. And here you can see the placement of my nails. I'm really using my ring finger to kind of support my non-dominant hand, and this is how I place my fingers so I can get maximum stability while I'm doing this entire process. Again, I'm drilling at the lowest speed possible, really focusing on removing any of that builder gel still left on my nail. I would consider this the first step of my prep, because the first step of prep is having a clean base. And so once I do that, I'm going to do that on the rest of the fingers the same way. I'm hoping that it's easy to see how I'm working with my non-dominant hand, and a lot of this just comes with practice and really understanding like what makes your hand feel stable in a sense. I know some people find stability in keeping their elbows flat on the table, but for me, that doesn't really matter. I just find stability in my finger placement. So now that that's all done, we're going to go into the cuticle work. I use this metal cuticle pusher, and I really just push back the dead skin. You want to expose all that extra space that's available on your nail plate. This step should not be painful at all. And if you don't want to do any cuticle work, or if you're not comfortable with it, you don't have to do this. In my opinion, I just feel like it helps your gel manicure retention. So now that my cuticles are pushed back, I'm using my new cuticle nippers, and you guys, these are so sharp. That's what you need when you're clipping your cuticles, honestly. This is how I hold them. I just ball them up in my fist. And if you don't want to do this part, you can just skip it. But whenever I clip my cuticles, I'm really just clipping away that dead skin. For me, that's the part that looks white, and you want to just take it slow. You don't have to focus on getting it off all in one piece, but it is very satisfying if you do. Again, this should not be painful, and this is why it's so important to push them back correctly to expose the dead skin so it's easier for you to clip it off. And you guys, the previous cuticle nippers I had, I think I've had them for like 4 years, and when I tell you I can see the immediate difference in those cuticle nippers and this one, I'm definitely going to switch them out more frequently from now on. More frequently meaning probably once a year. No, I'm kidding. And the last part of the cuticle work is to drill off any of the buildup on your natural nail plate. I love using these mini sanding bands because they're so thin that it can really fit into the nooks and crannies of your nail. And if you don't want to use a sanding band on your natural nail plate, that's understandable. You can just use a nail buffer. But whichever method you choose, I do recommend that you do something to get rid of all the excess stuff on your nail, because if you don't, your gel manicure is not going to last as long. This part is also just so satisfying because it's the last part of your prep, and it's going to make your nails look so much cleaner and grow out so much nicer. And when it comes to shaping your nail, I recommend that you file in one motion, because if you go back and forth, it could break your nail. I'm going in with rubbing alcohol again, and this is for the dehydrator. I don't use dehydrator in a bottle because it's basically just acetone and alcohol, which is everything I have on my desk. And to a lot of people, primer is optional, and they even say that like primer makes their nails lift faster. But just keep in mind, everyone's nail plate is different. For me, I love primer. It makes my nails last over a month. And primer is essentially what's going to bond your natural nail to whatever gel products you put on top, and it's air dry. Then from there, I always go in with a base coat of gel, and I would consider this step optional, but I just like putting base coat down because whenever I do soak offs or I drill on my nail, the base coat is that layer of protection so I don't drill off my natural nail plate. And for me, I actually do feel like my builder gel grips a lot better onto the base coat than my natural nail would. Like before, when I would not put a base coat on, I would feel the builder gel kind of peel up from the edge of my nail, but ever since I did this, there's no like peeling at all. So if you've also noticed your builder gel separating from your natural nail plate, maybe try this. And when I'm painting with my non-dominant hand, I also make small mistakes and get it on my skin. So before I cure that, I use my flat brush and dip it in rubbing alcohol and wipe off a lot of the excess so it's not dripping. And then I just go along the edge of my nail and clean up anywhere where the gel polish meets my skin. So don't be afraid to do this if you make any mistakes along the way. When that's all done, I cure my hand for a full minute. For builder gel nails, I recommend getting a flash cure lamp, and this is the builder gel that I use. I like using a clear one, but it's all up to preference. And to smoothen out the builder gel, you're gonna need a thin liner brush. I'm using a short one because my nails are short. And using that builder gel, you want little to no product on your brush, and you're going to apply a very thin slip layer of the builder gel over the entire nail. And the slip layer is the uncured layer of gel that's going to allow the thicker layer of gel on top to flow more easily throughout the entire nail. So keep in mind that wherever you put the slip layer is exactly where the polish is going to flow. And I've used this analogy before, but think of the slip layer as the crumb coat of your cake. There's a reason you put a crumb coat down before instead of just slapping the icing on the cake. And just like a crumb coat, the slip layer is going to help this thicker layer of builder gel just flow easily and make your whole nail look that much more even. So you want to pick up a good sized bead of builder gel and kind of flow it to the middle of your nail. I'm not going all the way to the edge because that precision work is what the liner brush is going to be used for. So you just want to focus on flowing the builder gel to the edge of your nail and make sure not to flood the cuticle, meaning don't get any product on your cuticle, because that's also something that can contribute to your lifting and cause your gel polish to peel up on the cuticle area. Now, using your liner brush and little to no pressure, you're going to guide the polish where you want it to go, kind of fixing any lumps in your nail. And you want to look at your nails from different angles. As you can see, the light exposes any empty areas you had, so I'm using that liner brush to really fill in that empty space and make it more even. Builder gel overlays definitely take time, and it's not the easiest thing to do on your non-dominant hand, but as you can see, it definitely is possible. And how you layer your nails all up to preference. I don't like my nails being too bulky, and I don't want a crazy apex on a short square nail. So when it's to my liking, I flash cure in place for about 15 seconds so I can move on to the other nails without it moving around. And now we're going to do a speed run. So I did the slip layer, and now I'm adding a big bead of product to the middle, and I'm using my liner brush to really flow everything to the end and make it look super even. And you can check your application to make sure it's even if the line of light looks like a solid white line. I cure for 1 minute. Now we're going to move on to some chrome. So I have my chrome palette, and I'm going to use my non-wipe top coat for my chrome design. And when you're doing chrome designs or just chrome nails in general, you're going to want to apply your chrome on top of a non-wipe surface. That is a non-negotiable. And non-wipe just means that when you cure the polish, there's no sticky inhibition layer or that tacky layer left on top of the gel. And not every gel polish is non-wipe, and I've had a lot of comments of people asking why their chrome comes out looking glittery and grainy instead of mirror-like and reflective. And 9 times out of 10, you guys, it's the gel polish you're using and not the chrome. I'm gonna stop my speech for a second to show you guys. I'm gonna remove this lint from my nail because when you put chrome on top of lumps, it's gonna show and look crazy, so make sure your surface is super smooth. Okay, so now back to what I was saying. The reason that your chrome is coming out glittery instead of reflective is because you're using a polish that leaves a tacky layer on top. And you might be saying, but Asia, I can't invest all of my polishes to be non-wipe, and that's totally okay. No one's saying you have to do that. Like, I don't even do that. The method that I do, and this never fails me, is that you can just do 2 parts non-wipe top coat to 1 part whatever gel you want to use, and it's going to come out reflective every time. And everyone has their own technique, but I only cure this for about 20 seconds. Now, this is the chrome palette of my dreams. Everyone thinks it's eyeshadow, and like it low-key looks like it, but it's really just like a pressed nail chrome powder. And as you can see, the non-wipe top coat method for chrome is never going to fail you. It's going to leave your nails always looking reflective instead of glittery and grainy. And when doing chrome nails, it's super important that you don't get any of the gel polish on your skin skin, because if you did, the chrome powder would stick to that and kind of make it look really messy. But if that does happen, it's no big deal. You can use your flat brush with acetone on it to wipe it off your skin. This is the most satisfying part of the video, and to be honest, it's the easiest part. And if you haven't already, I would definitely look into getting a pressed chrome palette instead of like the loose powder, because with the loose powder you tend to lose a lot of it and it's kind of like excess waste in a sense. And I'm using this clean makeup wedge sponge to get rid of any of the invisible chrome or glitter particles that were on the side, because if there's any loose chrome on the surface, when you top coat that nail, your whole nail is going to look glittery, and that defeats the entire purpose of using the non-wipe top coat to do it. And a lot of people ask why their chrome chips so easily and why it gets glittery when they top coat it. And if your chrome chips a lot, you should base coat on top of the chrome, cure it, and then top coat it to add that double layer of protection. But I'm gonna be honest, if you follow those steps and you're still getting glittery chrome when you top coat it, it's because you're swiping too much and adding way too much pressure and disrupting the whole chrome below it. So just work on floating the gel top coat over the chrome to where your bristles aren't even touching the chrome design below it. I cured my hand for a full minute, and since we just did a lot, I'm adding some moisture back into my nails because they definitely need it. I feel like we went over a lot in this video, but I just hope this goes to show you that you can do your non-dominant hand. It's not that intimidating, you just have to take time with it. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to follow and like it so you can see more of my content. And feel free to comment down below any questions you have or any requests for the next tutorial.